Welcome to the Funky Fresh Garden Show with yours truly, the Grow Goddess, here on KYGT The Goat, 102.7. If this is your first time tuning in, our show is intended to connect growers and gardeners with industry experts and their expert advice. My goal is to not only inspire people to be interested in what they eat, but how to grow it themselves. We take calls for your gardening questions over the phones or through our Facebook page. Shane joins me as my co-host. He's a well-educated gardener with a wide array of technical knowledge, and he also owns his own consulting firm here in Colorado.
What's up, everybody?
So we successfully survived Boston.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick trip.
Yeah, we were 3 days, 2 days traveling.
Yeah.
Total. So it was really crazy. The show was really cool. There was a few things I think everybody was in agreement on that was kind of odd, like the layout. Seemed like there
were some things that
I don't want to say that they put the B-listers in that room because there were some good people in that room. And so it was really kind of strange how they had it set up.
Yeah,
they could have mixed it.
I think realistically they could have found a better venue. They probably should have flown somebody out there to walk in the venue before they booked it, but, these things happen.
Yeah. I mean, it was a cool place. I just think if they would have did it correctly, it's just like the cup, how separated everything is at the cup, and then you have to find your way. But they mix it up enough for you to do that.
I think, too, if they had a little better signage to say, hey, we have just as many vendors in the back room as we do in the front.
I think some people didn't even know.
That would have helped.
Well, that's all their regular people that they see all the time, and so they just kind of assumed.
And the ceilings were really low, so you couldn't see, the big hanging signs like normal.
I don't know that I looked up at all. Some of the booths were really cool. Fox Farms booth was
that new mackerel booth was pretty sweet.
I didn't get a picture of it. I wish I did, or at least a video. It literally had this big fish on it that was moving. I think there was other things that were moving on it too.
There was a couple of fish, but there was a lot of moving parts to their booth. Apparently, some guy that does a bunch of work for Burning Man built it, so that was pretty cool. I got to give props to Fox Farm. That was impressive.
I liked their last one. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, but this one just took it to another level.
I don't know. I mean, I've been to so many shows now that I'm kind of
you get desensitized.
Numb to it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was one thing I regret was not getting my hat.
Oh yeah, the Smart Pot hats were
Smart
sweet.
Pots and Vermicraft both did it. They were handing out tickets, and you pretty much got whatever custom hat, crazy painted. I don't even know what it is.
Well, they paint the water, and then they dip the hat, and it takes the design.
Right.
It's really cool.
So Tim was supposed to grab me one. We were there. Well, Shane worked the booth. I was there handing out T-shirts and talking with people, and my whole day went by like that.
If you were one of the lucky ones to get a T-shirt, I mean, they were highly sought after, and
they came out awesome.
Every single one we took was gone.
Which was good.
So there's going to be some left over for the Indo Expo, but not a ton.
And we'll do a giveaway because we didn't get to do public day. We skipped that one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but at least we got to see a lot of the stores. And you obviously worked up there quite a bit, so it had to have been fun to see the old customers. And
I definitely saw a lot of old customers, old friends, and the boys at Relief magazine. Everybody was it was good to see everybody.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun to be there as ourselves and be able to enjoy it and be kind of lazy, to tell you the truth, because
I don't think we were lazy.
Well,
we were running the whole time.
Yeah, it was constant. We didn't get done with dinner until
11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it was crazy. So, I did want to take a quick moment too, again, to thank the sponsors that helped us print up those T-shirts and hand them out and promote the show. So we had Smart Pots and Grodan and Hort Solutions, Delta T Solutions, Rao Brothers. Who'd I miss? Dosatron.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun show. It was different being there, not just to hang out and not to work. Because working isn't always fun either, because that's pretty much what I did, and I was, like, exhausted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were there working as the radio show, as the Funky Fresh Garden show, so...
Yeah, I was just, like, my little legs were... I was around that place I don't know how many times.
Yep.
I tried to say hi to everybody.
It's hard. You can't... There's so many people, and, you know, it's a very family-oriented network, I would say. Everybody's pretty close if you've been around a while.
Well, and the people that were there, you know, initially at the start of Saturday, I was kind of like, okay, where's everybody at? You know, sort of a deal. And then, like, as it picked up and people came in, it was really nice being able to talk to people and not have 20 people surrounding you or trying to grab at something.
It was definitely quality, not quantity.
Yeah, and the stores were super cool, and
yeah,
most of them turned stuff down.
Yeah, they weren't sample grabbers. They were
like,
no, really
no,
there to learn.
I won't use that, or I won't wear that.
Meet people and make the connections to their suppliers.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
I enjoyed it. The downfall to it all, and we all know, is the cost. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, Boston was expensive
It was
itself.
Fun, but...
There was some big regatta in town that drove up all the hotel prices, and yeah, Boston flights aren't cheap from Denver.
No.
So it was worth it though. It was definitely worth going.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm excited about, I know a lot of people aren't. I'm excited about Chicago. Just because that means I could go
a year away now?
Stay at my dad's house and drive. It'd be nice and easy.
Right.
I don't even know. I have no idea if they even
released the dates
I think they just released the cities.
But we'll probably do a lot more shows next year too with
There's a lot of new shows coming up too. That's the thing, is we got the Indo Expo and probably 100 others that I don't even know about.
Yeah, there's a bunch you don't know about.
So yeah, I'm sure we'll be around.
Yeah, we'll definitely be at a lot of shows.
It'll be interesting to be at shows where you don't know everybody.
Right.
Because that's what happened in my day, was everybody. It's like, hey.
That's what happens. It was fun, though. It was a good trip.
Yeah. So tonight we're actually going to air 3 little clippets from Jair with Gavita. He came in a couple weeks ago and recorded some stuff with us. So I think, let's see, the 3 I have is Inverse, Square Law. We're going to talk about commercial growers, commercial gardens, and plasma lighting. So we'll just jump right into that, and we'll be back. Welcome to the Funky Fresh Garden Show with yours truly, the Grow Goddess, here on KYGT The Goat 102.7. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Our show is intended to connect growers and gardeners with industry experts and their expert advice. My goal is to inspire people to not only be interested in the things they ingest, but how to grow it themselves and the science behind it all.
No.
This is one episode in a series featuring Jair, co-owner of Gavita. Gavita is the oldest horticultural lighting company in the world. 30 years in the business, they're a Holland-based company, and their products are also developed and produced there. In 2002, they put out the first electronic ballast. Nowadays, commercial grows are popping up everywhere. Gavita has the most experience with commercial growers at a scale of 20 to 40,000 lights. They love to bring and share knowledge with growers, which is what makes them a global market leader in horticultural lighting. In studio with me, as usual, is my co-host Shane. He's a gardener with a wide array of technical knowledge and also runs a horticultural consulting firm here in Colorado. And the man of the hour is Jair, co-owner of Gavita. He's going to be educating us on all this fun stuff. This segment will focus on commercial growing. So all you big boys, listen up.
Yeah, no, It's funny. It's good to see that commercial growing starts here in Colorado. We see it in some other states right now also. I do have some worries about if I see people spending their money on commercial grows. I think I've seen a couple of commercial grows here. Some are awesome. They do it exactly right. And some are, well, it looks like a basement grow.
Yeah.
Like multiplied in like an orgy, and pretty much you take it's like it is this maze of little cabins.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's the basement model sure.
It's the basement model. And you have to understand that in commercial lighting, or actually in commercial growing, that doesn't apply. There is just, at the moment, one way to go. And you can't, I mean, you have to understand that if you, because I'm a specialist in lighting, if you take a look at walls, losses at walls, every reflector actually loses at a wall. So the more walls you create, the less efficient your system, the less overlap you get from one reflector or one tray to the other. And you can see that when you walk in those grows, those walls are lit up all the way. You have to understand the bigger the grow, the less walls you have.
Right.
If it's correct, you have only 4 walls. Those are the outside walls of the building.
Sure.
Yeah, the rest you don't want to use. I mean, if you want to grow big, I mean, it's actually grow big or go home.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand that this moment everybody makes money, and it's really easy to make money, and efficiency is not the biggest thing. But when it's going to be tight in a couple of years, it's going to be looking like commercial tomato growers.
It's headed that way.
It's definitely headed that way. And
if prices are dropping, and
if you can grow for half the price your crop as your competition is going out of business. And at the moment, everybody's still smiling. But when it tightens up, and that will happen in every industry.
Absolutely.
So pretty much, what do you want to do? You want to, like, pretty much build your grow room now, ready for the future, or you want to spend a lot of money thinking, like, in 2 years, oh, damn, I just missed it. And, okay, we have to scrap, like, $1 million grow room and start all over again. Yeah. And also, if you look at the cost in building one big room compared to all little rooms,
it's much cheaper.
It's much cheaper. It's also the investment on the room. And, what you see is pretty much you hang up your reflectors higher. You create overlaps. The bigger the room is, the more penetration from more different sides come in. That's the thing with commercial lighting. And then I would advise using a system that you have almost no light at the floor for people who love trays, rolling tables. So you have one aisle, and then you actually shift the tables every time. So you pretty much have one big bed of plants, because everybody pretty much you have to look at your aisles and actually take a calculation on how much of your grow space is being lit by the lamps.
Right.
But actually our walkways.
Right.
And I actually calculated some grow rooms up to 35%. That means
I've seen more.
Even more. So that means if you're going, let's say you're going up to 40% or 45% on walkways. If we would take out those walkways, let's say you always need about 10% of walkways for the main walkways, and then you can use rolling tables. I mean, it means you can grow 20% more crop under the same lights, using the same energy.
Well,
there's such simple ways.
How much is your electricity bill going towards lighting the walkway? So
and lighting walls.
Yeah.
I mean, at this moment, because the crop price is still high, what can I say? It's still, everybody can do something, but that will change really fast. And if you're not ready for the future as a commercial grower, I mean, your little empire will pretty much crumble. I mean,
and we're seeing that too. Yeah. There's definitely people going out of business already.
And I think it's solely based on that efficiency. They're not focusing on it.
Right.
And it could change so much.
Efficiency is key. I mean, if you look at a really big grows, like we know with people growing tomatoes, like in greenhouses with lights, efficiency is everything.
Absolutely.
If you're they need the most efficient product from everything.
Absolutely. I mean, who's getting the most kilos per square feet or square meter, either one?
Exactly, and that's also why we're really good in that part of the industry, because we pretty much give with our lights the highest efficiency. But it's not just the lights. I mean, you have to look at things like monocropping. I mean, people try to put 12 strains in one building. I mean, they're all got to be different. They all want different kind of nutrients and a different kind of treatment.
Different water contents.
Different water contents. Only way to do this is to do monocropping. It's like one strain in one building, and do that strain as good and customize the building to the strain and the strain to the building.
Absolutely.
And if you have a cultivation manager that's a little bit smart, he will figure it out how to dial in that strain, and that's when you really get the big yields.
Absolutely, that's when you get the high productivity and the high efficiency.
Yeah. Also on commercial lighting. You have to understand that if we calculate the losses at the walls, we actually do those calculations for when we calculate the lighting grid. So for people, let's take this back. For people who buy Gavita, we actually make lighting calculations.
Absolutely.
It's a free service for the customers. It's something you can do through our website. If you go to customer support and you request a lighting plan calculation, we will send you an intake form. We get a lot of information. You will get a customized rendering of your grow room. And we will take into account the losses at the walls, the reflectivity of the walls and the ceiling, the crop height, the amount of energy used. We will give you a full 14-page calculation with a 3D rendering and a full plan on how to place those lights.
And for you small growers out there, they offer this same service regardless of how many lights you're buying from them. If you're a customer of Gavita, they offer it.
Yeah, pretty much a little bit from 6, 8 lights up, it starts to get interesting to do that calculation. So, yeah, don't worry. Also, maybe you have your Gavitas already, and maybe you want to see if you've done it right, because it might be different than we advise. And just by repositioning your lights, you can get another 5 or 7% of extra light, and the uniformity of your light goes better. I mean, uniformity, it's about light levels on the right place with the right uniformity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think everybody looking at commercial growing, take a good look in what you're going to do. Yeah. I mean, it can be the difference if you have to close your company in 2 years.
Absolutely.
Or are you going to be a winner? I mean, if you look to big agriculture and look to the way things are done, I mean, grow big or go home.
That's right.
This segment will focus on inverse square law.
Basically, the inverse square law is the idea that all of us Colorado growers and most of the U.S. guys that have been underground for years, we've all learned this from the books and the old guys that say for every foot closer you put your lamp, the light intensity doubles. Well, in reality, this is only true with one light, and Jair here is going to tell us why.
Well, it's actually something, I saw it one time in the Bible of Jair of Gavita-Holland, and he took a measurement, and he pretty much, because those days it was all lumens.
Yeah.
PAR wasn't there yet, and this is back in the 70s, and he pretty much took a light, he did a measurement in the middle of the tray, and he starts dropping the light. So if you take one light, and you drop it, and if you take one measurement in the middle of the tray, then you actually get, at that spot, you get more light. Actually, if you would take an 80-point measurement in the same tray, and this would be actually something you could do at home with like little 80 stickers and actually measure it as though.
Yep.
And you start dropping the light, then you would actually see that you get a lot of light in the middle, but actually not on the corners and on the edges. Actually, light levels will drop dramatically. And everybody that uses their reflector really close to their crop can actually see that. They have a lot of crop in the middle and actually fluffy on the side. And actually the crop on the side actually needs to go for another 2 weeks after the crop in the middle is already ready.
Right.
So what happens is, because you drop the light, you lose uniformity. Now, people say, but you also have less light. I say, no, you just spread the light over a bigger area.
Right.
So, because you don't lose light. People say, yeah, when I raise my reflector, and you have to understand that Gavitas are designed to be raised considerably above the crop. And when you raise your reflector, you lose light. First thing, losing light is an impossibility. I mean, the laws of physics says that you don't lose light. I mean, light will travel through space and time until a photon will travel through space and time until it hits something, and then it will open up and the energy comes out.
Energy is transferred, changed.
Yes,
it cannot be
so
created or destroyed.
I mean, if light would be less through distance, we wouldn't see the sun and the moon and the stars. I mean, the only place where I know in the universe that we can lose light is in a black hole, and then we lose it. We just don't know where it goes. I mean, I don't want to check it out, and I think none of the listeners want to check this out. So I mean, what happened is this got transferred into the hydroponics industry, that you have to drop your light, that the inverse square law applies. Well, actually, I could tell you for multiple light, if you go to Wikipedia and look at the inverse square law only applies when having one light source, only one. Any multiple light sources, the inverse square law doesn't apply anymore. And now comes the problem. So if you actually run your hand under a 1,000-watt lamp, you actually feel the infrared. That's the heat that strikes your hand.
Sure.
If you actually run it away from your lamp, you will figure out that after about 3.5 feet, and this is an open reflector, actually the infrared stops. It doesn't travel that far. So what happened? People start dropping their reflector, and this is what happened the last 10, 15 years, and because they thought they're going to get better yields in the middle, and they dropped the reflector, and now the plants are inside the infrared part of the lamp. No, so we just created a problem. So let's solve the problem. So we have to make this expensive reflector that has a piece of glass in there that actually holds about 12% of your light. Then the reflector gets too hot, and they make 2 holes in them to put air ducting on, so you're losing reflective material on those 2 holes, so you're losing another 5%. Mm-hmm. And then we start running cold air by the bulb to keep everything cooled down. And actually, and every electrician can actually measure this, if you cool a bulb, an HID bulb is designed to run at a very specific temperature to get the best output. Actually, the reflector and the bulb has to be designed for each other. If you cool an HID bulb, and certainly a double-ended bulb, because it's not gas-filled, it's a vacuum bulb, you actually get a voltage drop. It's like dimming your light.
Right.
And you lose another 15 to 20% depending on how cold the air is that's coming in and or how fast it goes. So you're talking about the possibilities of taking a 1,000-watt input system, and because of a very inefficient way, actually creating an effective output of 650 watts. And that's actually horrible. And actually, so we created a problem by dropping our reflectors, and that never happened in commercial gardening. So we created a problem by dropping our reflectors, and then we built a really expensive reflector to solve that problem that actually created a lot more problems. And this is actually what happened in this industry. And what can I say? It's a really bad way for efficiency. And on a grow room, the inverse square law does not apply. And I know a lot of people are going to curse at me right now, but I can tell you, if you look at commercial lighting, we run our ballast way up. You don't have a problem. The plants are not in the infrared part, and you actually start making crossovers. So actually, because the more lights you actually have, and the bigger the room is, the more crossovers you make, and the more penetration from multiple sides into the plants. We're not just lighting the top of the plants, we're lighting to the inside from all sides. Right. And the better penetration, the deeper your product will grow, and everybody will understand the advantages of that. Right.
Absolutely.
So what can I say? For everybody who doesn't believe me, take your glass out of your reflector, raise them up about 3 foot above your crop, see how much more you're going to grow. And pretty much your next step will be some Gavitas, if you understand what we're doing.
And I'd love for people to do that and tell me how that worked out, because it's so interesting. It's just not something that I never.
I mean, maybe it's something where we'll just have to do it ourselves and video it.
Yeah.
I dare anybody with their current reflectors. I mean, you have to understand that if you make your 1,000 watt into a 600 watt effective, you're losing 400 watts on effective growing power.
Right.
If you would AC the same 1,000 watt back to a normal, you lose about 150 to 200 watts.
Right.
So about half less losses of ACing an open hood instead of an air cooling one.
Right.
The air cooling one, what can I say? It's not going to work. And if it would be better, we would use it in commercial, pretty much. I mean,
so basically, if you look at efficiency, it's cheaper to add HVAC air conditioning and not cool your bulb.
Yeah, we're not even looking at degradation of reflector like we talked to in the other segment. And because what do you want to do? Every reflector degrades 2 to 5% a year. And what are you going to do after 2 years? You're going to take your $250 reflector and scrap it? I mean, seriously?
That's pretty hard to swallow.
And that's even for commercial growers. So you have 500 of those expensive reflectors.
Right.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, definitely not. So definitely think about these Gavita options. Makes a lot of sense.
This segment will focus on plasma lighting.
Yeah.
So, in addition to all the HPS and double-ended things that Gavita offers, they also offer a plasma lighting, which is something that's taking the industry by storm in the past few years. It's been a hot topic, and everybody has a different take on it, but Gavita certainly has the expertise to enlighten us today.
Yeah, that's a good word. I love that. I love that wordplay. I think the plasma is a little bit underrated. People don't have enough knowledge.
Right.
I mean, if you understand the plasma, it's actually one of the greatest lights that actually came to market in the last couple of years. You have to understand that a plant is not made for HID light. A plant is, in the end, is made for millions of years through evolution.
Sunlight.
Is made for sunlight.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's my big competition is Gavita, is the sunlight.
Right.
Well, actually, we have a light now called the plasma light. That's our LEP, light emitting plasma, and pretty much we have a CRI of 97. That's the highest CRI at the moment in lamps available. That means we're pretty much
Really
sunlight.
close to the sun.
We're getting really close to our competition. Plasma light is really nice. It has the full spectrum. It has everything in there. Actually, it also contains something that's even more fun. That's the right amount of UVA and UVB.
Right.
The UVC, that's actually also in there. We filter out with a special glass dope.
With the glass.
With the glass, it's special doped glass that we actually filter out the UVC because that's the harmful one. So this is a great product. We have two kinds of different plasma. We have a grow plasma that's specifically made for like veg. In veg, we have the 270 watt plasma will veg like a 500 watt metal halide. So you use about half of the electricity. You can say, oh yeah, the plasma is $1,000 lamp, but also you have to take lamp replacement into calculation.
Sure.
And you have to understand that the grow plasma will last for 5 years. So, I mean, that is a really affordable lamp if you take a 5-year calculation, actually cheaper than metal halide, half the energy, and a way better spectrum. You can't believe what you see with the plant morphology if you start using a plasma. It's beautiful. And then we also have a supplemental plasma that's specially supplemental for HID. We took out the red part. That's why this lamp actually is good for 7 years without relamping. And the nice thing on this, first thing, if you are in your flower room and you use these lamps, your plants will look happier and healthier because it's sunlight. You put sunlight back into your indoor grow room. And then something else really nice happens, and that is your UVA and your VB. Well, the plant normally makes glands to protect itself against UV and against sunlight. And if the stomatas close by accident because something happens with the plant or the sun is too hot, actually it starts evaporating the glands or the essential oils to cool the plant down. It's like the last defense. So actually by teasing the plant a little bit with the UVA and the UVB, we actually get more terpenes and we actually get more THC. So pretty much more essential oils, but also a better taste. So I can say to any really, if you're a boutique grower, buy one. Try a little Gordon or if you Carden. See if I'm right. If you're the amount and the difference on your plant growth and on your terpene production and on your it's amazing. It's something you should see. Also, we did tests with breeders. The nice breeders we tested with were people like a good example is DNA Genetics. I work with in Amsterdam, and we started breeding seeds under plasma, and the seeds are better, less failure seeds. The tiger print skin was thicker, looked more clear and beautiful. So for every seed breeder who's doing boutique strains, yes, the plasma can be really interesting. I would take definitely a look at it.
That's very interesting.
Also, because they emitted UV, you will see less problems with mildew. So
right.
if you're in your veg room and you veg with plasma and where your humidity is higher because you're in your veg room, actually there are a product called Clean Light. It's a UVC light. It's like a wand. If you use our plasmas together with a day treatment with UVC, I've seen big grows be able to run without any mildew problems. So no more spraying. I mean, for anybody growing organic big time, that should be the way they work. There's this moment, it's the only way that I know to do that without actually having to spray the plants. Because
it makes a lot of sense. I mean, even you look at the greenhouse situation, we have so many less problems with mildew because of the sun and the intensity and
outdoor plants have hardly any problem with mildew because of all the UV radiation.
Right. And the fact that your lights are putting out that same UV makes a lot of sense that we'd have less issues.
Yeah, so what can I say? I know plasma is a little bit of a different thing, but for big commercial grows, it's the best thing to have in your veg room. It's the cheapest lamp. It's a little initial higher investment, but will pay so much back in the first 5 years on electricity cost, on relamping, on service, and for every boutique grower or breeder, it's going to be a must. I mean, that's definitely something you have to try. The spectrum is beautiful.
That's great. Well, thanks, Jair.
No problems.
Appreciate you being here, coming up to the mountains to see us.
Yeah, now you guys have to treat me on dinner.
Uh-oh. Where should we take him?
Not a lot of options in the mountains.
Some elk burger.
Right? Bison.
I'm keeping that in there. Yeah. Thank you for tuning into this special series of the Funky Fresh Garden Show here on KYGT The Goat 102.7. Happy growing.
Because you know I'm all about that bass.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Funky Fresh Garden Show on KYGT The Goat 102.7. I had to play that song. It's just so catchy. I'm sure everybody's sick of hearing it by now.
Yeah, probably so.
So before we go, I just want to bring up a few things. Well, first I want to say that clip was such a pain to put together. But
yeah, you put a lot of work in, but it came out great. I think
tons of good information, very interesting, makes you think, makes you want to look into things a little more.
Well, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was pretty in-depth.
It was.
I think most people are
I think he also, he put it in a way for everybody to understand. I don't think that it was over anybody's head. So
yeah, it was great. So some of the upcoming shows we have next week, we're going to have Supreme Growers, and then we're going to have Route Brothers Greenhouses on to talk about their stuff, their greenhouses.
Nice.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
If anybody's
we've got a lot to talk
that.
about in the greenhouse.
Mm-hmm. So that should be an interesting show. And then the week of the Indo Expo that we're doing, we're going to have Smart Bee controllers on. They're also going to be doing the show actually in the same booth as Horticultural Solutions.
Yeah, we'll have a little tag team booth action.
Tag team booth action.
Yeah. Keep it busy, make a crowd. And,
It should be interesting. A lot of
smart
people
will be there, kind of showcasing their new controllers and how they all work together wirelessly. And Hort Solutions will be there. I'll be doing some little bit of free consulting for people looking to see, how consultant can help their facility. Give a little initial consult advice, and there'll be a sign-up sheet at the show. And if you guys want to get in on that early, look up the Hort Solutions Colorado Facebook page. But it should be a fun show. I'll also be speaking. I think it's 2:30 in Room B.
What are you talking about?
November 15th. The future of growing and the greenhouse model.
Are you going to do a half hour, I think?
Yeah, I think it's a half hour.
So that should be interesting. A lot of people have said that they're going to come out to hear it, so we're also going to record it probably.
Yeah, that'll be videotaped. I think
that should be pretty interesting.
The Indo Expo group is also going to be videotaping it, so.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so we'll have some good stuff to show online from the Indo Expo. It should be a nice show. All of our sponsors, I think, are going to be there walking the show. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, and we'll be there as the radio station, kind of hanging out and saying hi, or as the show.
Yeah, doing some interviews maybe, and maybe hand out the rest of your shirts.
I'm sure I will.
I don't think that'll be a problem. People love those shirts.
Yeah, they came out cool. All right, well, that's our show. I hope we taught you something new and inspire you to get growing. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/funkyfreshgardenshow, to stay up to date on everything going on here and at the radio station. Happy growing.